Γεια σας παιδιά, ξεκινάει το live με εδώ στο κανάλι Αντώνης Gamer GR με The Texas, πώς λέγεται τώρα, να το δω. Γιατί σε τι το έχω όμως, σε 5 νομίζω το έχω, ναι. Ωραία, The Texas Max. Πώς λέγεται τέλος πάντων, δεν το όνομα να πω. Αυτό το παιχνίδι παιδιά, πάτησα να το βάλω να μπαίνει κιόλας. Έχω και καιρό, δεν ξέρω αν 2 μήνες μπορεί να πέρασω που να έχω να κάνω το παιχνίδι live. Κάπου εκεί. Μιας που είναι και Halloween, αύριο βασικά είναι η τελευταία μέρα του Halloween, να κάνουμε και κάτι σε χώρο, τι είναι κάτι σαν χώρο παιχνίδι αυτό έτσι κι αλλιώς.
Tragedy and despair have struck Central Texas. A young college student named Maria Flores seemingly vanished without a trace. She was last seen near the town of Newt more than 2 weeks ago, but with no physical evidence, the investigation has stalled. With few leads and even less hope, Maria's younger sister Ana Flores and a group of her closest friends set out to find their missing loved one. But any grief or sadness caused by Maria's disappearance would pale in comparison to the agony and despair they would soon discover. What awaited this group of youths was a nightmare beyond belief. The events surrounding Maria's disappearance would be just one of the many bizarre crimes later known as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Nice. Play. Και παιδιά, δεν θα πούμε τώρα ακόμη σε αυτά. Εδώ. Τώρα θα πάμε να συνεχίσω αυτό που είχαμε αφήσει στη μέση και μάλλον τώρα θα το ξαναπαίξουμε από την αρχή πάλι. Είμαστε στο τελευταίο live. Θα πάμε να τελειώσουμε λίγο αυτό και μετά βλέπουμε. Play. Α, ναι, ήμασταν μέσα παιδιά κιόλας, σωστό. Σωστό. Το έχουμε τελειώσει το headshot και μας το χάσει και από εδώ, Ποιος είναι? Ακουγόταν, δες, κάτι ακούγεται συνέχεια.
He really cut her. According to Gunnar Hansen, he really cut Marilyn Burns' finger in the infamous grandpa feeding scene. The prop knife, designed to pump out fake blood, wouldn't work after several takes. Finally, when no one was looking, Gunnar Hansen removed the tape from the knife that made it dull and really cut Marilyn's finger. Knowing this, that would mean that actor John Dugan, Grandpa, sucked on the actual blood of Marilyn Burns. Kim and Toby before Texas. Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper met during the filming of Hooper's 1969 film Eggshells. 4 years later, they would go on to create the production company Vortex Inc. and co-create the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Another Texas Chainsaw actor was also part of the Eggshells cast. Alan Danziger, better known as Jerry to Chainsaw fans, co-starred in the earlier film.
Μάλιστα. Εδώ είναι που αλλάζεις, ναι. Εδώ
The dinner
έχει.
scene. The infamous dinner scene was a long, trying shoot. Plastic surgeon W.E. Barnes created the makeup for Grandpa, and it took nearly 10 hours to apply to actor John Dugan. A lot of pieces and parts went into creating Grandpa's look. But because they were down to their last set of makeup parts, the crew had to shoot every scene involving Grandpa all in one day. The grueling shoot was one of the hottest days of the production, with temperatures over 100 degrees. The set windows were blacked out with black plastic in a house filled with cameras and lights that reached as high as 120 degrees inside. Because of the extreme heat on set, the food at the dinner table started to rot. The smell on set was ghastly for the entire cast and crew. All of the bones on the set were real, and combined with the lights that made them burn, released an unbearable smell. The combination of the stench with the extreme heat made a lot of the crew sick, and they take frequent trips outside to throw up. In the end, the brutal set brought a real rawness to the film. The shoot in total lasted nearly 32 hours for some of the crew.
Μάλιστα.
Makeup set. Gunnar Hansen shared a lot of praise for his fellow cast members. In the 40th anniversary Blu-ray release's audio commentary, Hansen notes that actor Jim Cito, the cook, was probably the only actor in the movie who could look benign and then become extremely evil without any makeup.
Ναι. Κάτσε να δούμε και από εδώ. Τώρα νομίζω και πάνω πετάγαμε, γιατί πάνω έχει κάποια άλλα πράγματα που θέλουμε.
Scaring a child. In the original movie shoot, the caterer, Sally Nicolau, was married to the location sound recordist, Ted Nicolau. The day they shot the meat hook scene, Sally brought their then 3-year-old daughter, Karina, to set when she was delivering lunch. Unfortunately, little Karina saw Terry McMahon, Pam, on the meat hook and began crying and screaming. Her father recalled, "I was in the living room while we were shooting that scene, and she came running in and skidded to a stop and just went completely white, started screaming and crying, and went running out of the house." Genuine bone furnishings. The bones used for props were real animal bones found at a veterinarian boneyard and a cattle pasture. Art director Robert Burns led the charge of designing most of the bone props, like furniture and light fixtures.
Οι φωτογραφίες είναι για εδώ, οπότε περιμένουμε όμως αυτό.
Hitchhiker's camera. The make and model of the Hitchhiker's camera is a Polaroid automatic 230 land camera. It was manufactured and distributed from 1967 to 1969. This camera previously belonged to Maria Flores. The hitchhiker stole it after she was stalked and kidnapped by Johnny. No living animals were harmed. Initially, art director Robert Burns wanted set pieces of real dead cats and dogs. The crew acquired dead animal carcasses from a veterinarian and actually tried to embalm them with formaldehyde. Makeup artist and production assistant Dorothy Pearl, at the time the wife of the film's cinematographer Daniel Pearl, was injecting a dead animal with formaldehyde when she accidentally injected into her own leg through the animal. Toby Hooper then ordered that the dead animal carcasses had to be thrown out. The crew poured gasoline to cremate them, but the stench from the smoke from the bonfire started to make its way into the family house and added to an already foul stench set.
I understand. Triple operation, that's this one. Και αυτό το παίρνουμε. Εδώ δεν ανοίγει ακόμη.
Sissy's straight razor. After Kim Henkel and creative director Ronnie Hobbs finished designing Sissy's look and backstory, the only question left was what type of weapon would she carry. According to Kim's secret catalog of character concepts, he always envisioned Sissy wielding some type of straight razor, a small, portable weapon that could stay hidden until just the right time. It's petite and deadly, just like Sissy. It fit her personality perfectly. So even though the hitchhiker carries it in the original 1974 film, it did in fact previously belong to Sissy. As far as what happened to her, or where Sissy is during the 1974 film, well, that's a story for another time. Hitchhiker's pocket knife. This weapon is a nod to everyone's favorite unlikable character, Franklin, from the 1974 film. According to creative director Ronnie Hobbs and designer Rob Fox, they knew the likelihood of Franklin ever appearing in the video game was slim to none, so this was their way of including him as a small Easter egg. Jim Sedow's toughest scene to get right was the broomstick clubbing at the gas station. Since the prop was an actual wooden broom handle, he was afraid of hurting his fellow actor in the scene. After several takes of it looking fake, Sedow really struck his fellow actor in the final take. It was an exhausting shoot for everyone, but Marilyn Burns had it as bad as anyone on set. She did several takes of diving through the doorway of the gas station, and each time she would land knee first on the hard concrete floor, so many times that the floor tore up and severely bruised her knees.
Εδώ θα δούμε το πώς πάμε. Νομίζω δεν πήγαμε. Αν μην πετάχτει τίποτα, πιστεύω να μην πετάγεται κάτι. Έτσι, να μου πεις καλά θα είναι να πεταχτεί κάτι. Ναι.
Toby meets the cook. Director Toby Hooper offered the part of the old man, the cook, to Jim Sedow after they worked together in the 1971 film The Wind Splitter. They were both a part of the cast in said film. Hooper and Sedow weren't the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre alumni to work on The Wind Splitter. Ron Bozeman was the key grip, Kim Henkel was credited as the grip, and Sally Richardson was the assistant director.
Νομίζω αυτά τα βρήκαμε όλα.
News of the day. Toby Hooper wanted to parody the news reports of the day, which he considered televised lies, and so devised the opening voiceover, famously recited by actor John Larroquette.
Αυτό είναι με τις πινακίδες. Μάλλον είναι να μπαίνουν και αυτοί κάπου εδώ. Έχουμε και τις πινακίδες που πρέπει να κάνουμε, από ό,τι φαίνεται. Πάμε να μπούμε εδώ. Μπήκαμε προσκύβη επιτέλους. Αυτό δεν το παίρνει όμως. Εδώ τι έχουμε. Το μαθαίνω παιδιά. Κοιτάχτηκε την ντουλάπα αυτό.
One outfit, 32 days. Actors only had one set of their wardrobe. The actors had to wear the same clothing for the entire 32-day shoot, 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. For fear of fading or being damaged, they couldn't wash the clothes. So the actors wore the same clothes unwashed for 32 days straight, in 95 to 100-degree Texas heat. According to the crew, Gunnar Hansen stunk of body odor worse than anyone on set by the end of the shoot.
Έτσι, κάπου εδώ ήθελα πόρτα. Θα πάμε από εδώ. Νομίζω κάναμε το γύρο τώρα. Εδώ δεν μπήκαμε. Θα πείτε αυτή πάλι. Εντάξει. Με τις... Τίποτα αρχή. Πάτω.
Box office success. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre grossed over $30 million at the box office in North America and sold over 16 million tickets. With inflation, the film would have made over $150 million in box office earnings today.
Μάλιστα. Κάτι άλλο? Εκεί είχαμε πάει, εντάξει.
Spring of '73. Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper spent January and February of 1973 writing the script, but production moved on rather quickly after that. They were shooting the movie by summer of 1973.
Ναι. Φεβρουάρι 1973.
Production manager Ron Bozeman would go on to work on another film that featured cannibalism. In 1992, he won an Academy Award as a producer for The Silence of the Lambs.
Στο καλάτο! Oh. Μέσα θα πρέπει να χαμπίνει. Μέσα στο δωμάτιο με τις φωτογραφίες. Ωραία, τώρα πότε πάμε κάτω. Γιατί περπατάνε τόσα βήματα ακούγονται? Να με τρομάτισει θέλω. Δες τους.
Friend of Leatherface. Since both of her parents were working on the film, 3-year-old Karina Nicolau was often on set and struck up a friendship with Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen. He recalled their interactions. She had never liked my Leatherface mask. She was sitting with me one day while I waited for a shot setup. When Dottie, makeup artist Dorothy J. Pearl, came to put on my mask, it horrified Karina. As soon as it covered my face, she started screaming. I had Dottie pull it off. See? I said, it's just me. She calmed down, but when I put the mask on again, she started screaming again. I realized she was too young to make the leap, to see my transformation from Gunnar to Leatherface and understand that I was still under the mask. So I made sure she never saw me in the mask after that, at least until the unfortunate meat hook scene.
Κάτω δεν μπορούμε να πάμε ακόμη έτσι κι αλλιώς. Δεν τελειώσουν τα πάνω πρώτα. Πάμε να τα τελειώνουμε. Λοιπόν, σιγά σιγά.
Preparing for the role. To prepare for the role of Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen went to Austin State School, which was a 95-acre residential and training facility for adults with developmental disabilities. He was there several days to pick up the residents' mannerisms and how they walked and talked. It was important to Gunnar to portray the character authentically, without making a mockery of those who suffer from developmental disabilities.
Opa.
The Apprehension Engine.
Oh.
Gun Interactive's own Wes Keltner led the direction of music for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. One day, Wes was at home brainstorming, and in the background he had 2015's The Witch playing. He wasn't watching the film, but was more listening to it. The sounds and music in the film struck him as he was listening. He asked himself, what instruments are they using to make those unique sounds? It turned out, those sounds were created by an apprehension engine. Wes was able to track down Tony Dugan Smith, who makes roughly 6 of these instruments a year, and was informed that the apprehension engine took around 7 months to build. Wes then had the honor to have a meeting with film composer and creator of music for The Witch, Mark Corvin. It was at this meeting where Corvin said, "Forget everything you know about playing guitar and other instruments. Approach the apprehension engine like a child, and experience and discover." From there, the direction of sounds for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game were born. Ashtray. Actors are paid varying amounts for their work in film. For his voiceover in the opening monologue of the film, John Larroquette was paid with a single joint. Recent reports, however, suggest that his rate has gone up. Friend of Leatherface. Since both of her parents were working on the film, 3-year-old Karina Nicolau was often on set and struck up a friendship with Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen. He recalled their interactions. She had never liked my Leatherface mask. She was sitting with me one day while I waited for a shot setup. When Dottie, makeup artist Dorothy J. Pearl, came to put on my mask, it horrified Karina. As soon as it covered my face, she started screaming. I had Dottie pull it off. "See?" I said, "it's just me." She calmed down, but when I put the mask on again, she started screaming again. I realized she was too young to make the leap, to see my transformation from Gunnar to Leatherface and understand that I was still under the mask. So I made sure she never saw me in the mask after that, at least until the unfortunate meat hook scene.
Nice. Πάλι αυτό πάνω μας, ναι, εδώ ήμασταν, ναι. Έχουμε. Εδώ. Για μισό λεπτό να δω λίγο και κάτω τι γίνεται. Όχι, κάτω δεν μπορούμε να πάμε.
Possible titles. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't the first or even second title of the film. The first 2 working titles were Head Cheese and Leatherface. Head Cheese was the first working title of the film, though, for most of principal photography. Leatherface was the working title until late into production, when it was finally given the official title of The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Kim Hinkle and Toby Hooper intended for the title to be spelled Chainsaw. But once the press were sent information on the film, and when the original poster was produced, the spelling got twisted into chainsaw. Cheap thrills. Screenwriter Kim Henkel has said that one of the reasons he and Toby Hooper wanted to make a horror film was their limited budget. If you have relatively little money, what are your possibilities? Henkel says. The clear answer was some sort of genre piece. Horror was the easiest because we felt that we didn't have to have any names in the cast. Production values weren't nearly so important as in some other realms, so it became the natural choice. Blood spatter. One of the reasons that blood and gore are limited in the film is because Tobe Hooper and Kim Henkel felt that fear and intensity were more important. According to screenwriter Kim Henkel, he and Tobe Hooper reached out to the MPAA to discuss the guidelines to avoid getting slapped with an X rating. Apparently, the investors of the film were terrified that the film would get an X rating, so all these thoughts were front of mind during production. Ultimately, Hooper and Henkel's original vision of inflicting fear and intensity with the gore and blood implied worked to the film's benefit and made a bigger impact.
Ναι, και αυτό θα είναι κάτι εδώ πέρα. Αυτό είναι για τα κεφάλια. Πάμε να τελειώσουμε πρώτα μέσα στο τραπέζι που είναι να βάλουμε κάποια πράγματα. Και μετά πάμε στα κεφάλια, ίσως θα δούμε. Λοιπόν, είναι λάθος. Εδώ θέλουμε αυτό. Λοιπόν, εδώ στη μέση μπαίνει αυτό. Εδώ κάτσε να δω λίγο ξανά τις εικόνες. Νομίζω κατάλαβα. Κάτσε να δω τι έχω βασικά. Με αυτό που είναι τα λοκάνικα. Λάθος να σε το βάλω.
Skin lampshades. Why was the film marketed as being based on true events? According to Kim Henkel, the film's marketing of being based on true events evolved over production. The famous crawl, for instance, was implemented to mark the story as an historical event that was more captivating, but wasn't meant to be taken seriously. Another inspiration for the story were tales Toby Hooper was told by his family as a young child. They told him stories of a killer from Wisconsin that would use human skin for lampshades. This Wisconsin killer was the infamous Ed Gein.
Πάει αυτό, το κάναμε. Πάμε τώρα σε αυτό εδώ με τα κεφάλια, λέω εγώ. Να δω πρώτα τι κεφάλια έχουμε. Ένα είναι αυτό. Το άλλο είναι αυτό. Αυτό. 3 κεφάλια έχουμε. Νομίζω. Ναι. 3 θέλουμε. 3 θέλουμε νομίζω. Ναι, είναι 3 αυτό δείχνει. Έτσι δεν είναι. Ναι. Απλώς να δούμε το ποιο μπαίνει πού. Εκεί μπαίνει αυτό εδώ. Εδώ. Όχι. Μπαίνει αυτό εδώ. Σωστά. Τις θέσεις. Ωραία. Εκεί πάνω μπαίνει το άλλο. Αυτό μπαίνει. Όχι, δεν μπαίνει αυτό. Γάτο. Μπαίνει αυτό. Και το άλλο πάει εδώ κάτω. Πάει αυτό. Τώρα θα πάμε πάνω. Από εδώ πήγα. Ναι, πήγα, το είδαμε. Οπα.
Genuine bone furnishings.
Αυτό δεν το είδα.
The bones used for props were real animal bones found at a veterinarian boneyard and a cattle pasture. Art director Robert Burns led the charge of designing most of the bone props, like furniture and light fixtures.
Πάμε πάνω. Πάμε εδώ με τις φωτογραφίες. Νομίζω πως θέλω να μας κυνηγάει κανένας. Δεν το θυμάμαι κιόλας. Και πού είναι αυτό, για να δούμε πώς τις βάζουμε. Δεν έχει κάπως που πρέπει να τις βάλουμε κάπως. Αλλά μας λείπει μια φωτογραφία. Νάτι. Ωραία, μάλιστα. Γάτο. Κάτσε να περίμενε. Νομίζω αυτό είναι πρώτο, μισό. Ή όχι. Αυτό εδώ είναι πρώτο. Αυτό είναι δεύτερο. Τρίτο. Νομίζω έχω πιάσει το νόημα. Ναι. Από εδώ ήθελα. Ωραία. Πάει και αυτό. Τι μας έχει. Έχουμε ένα δύο. Άλλα δύο πράγματα είναι να κάνουμε. Λοιπόν, μισό να δούμε τι έχουμε. Έχουμε αυτό με τις πινακίδες βλέπω. Και αυτό με το χέρι θα δούμε τι είναι. Και αυτό με το χέρι. Όμως που έχει άλλες πινακίδες, πρέπει να βρούμε πινακίδες παιδιά. Πάμε στο δωμάτιο με τις πινακίδες λίγο πρώτα να δούμε και πού είναι αυτό. Δεν θυμάμαι που είναι καλά. Εδώ είπες έχει καμία πινακίδα. Άρα. Ανάμεσα. Δεν έχει άλλες πινακίδες τώρα. Αυτό δεν το είδα πριν. Να, και άλλη πινακίδα.
Family name. The family has gone by several surnames throughout the course of the franchise. However, their original surname is Slaughter. Though never spoken in the movie, it can be seen in faint letters on the sign above the gas station, W.E. Slaughter Barbecue. According to Gunnar Hansen, art director Bob Burns made the sign. He said that Toby and Kim were mighty proud of coming up with We Slaughter.
Πόσες θέλουμε? 1, 2, 3, 4 πινακίδες. Εγώ βρήκα 3. Θέλουμε άλλη 1. Κανονικά πως αυτή κάπου εδώ μέσα είναι. Σε όλο το ψάτσο. Ναι. Και το είδαμε, πάμε εδώ. Όσο με ποια σειρά μπαίνουν. Λοιπόν, παιδιά, για να καταλάβουμε τι κάνουμε τώρα, θέλω να σημειώσω σε ένα χαρτί τις πινακίδες, σε τσέχον χαρτί το καθένα. Λοιπόν, 33, παύλα, 32, 0. Ωραία. Αυτή είναι μία πινακίδα. Η άλλη πινακίδα, μισό. Είναι αυτή. Γράφω ό,τι γράφει ό,τι έχει πάνω στην πινακίδα το σημειώνω εγώ. Μετά 31 α 9.162. Πάμε κάτω εδώ. B σου το ρο 72. Ωραία, πάει η επόμενη. Αυτή είναι. Έτσι, έχει και γραμμή από πάνω, ωραία. Μετά 2 παύλα 5.729 μετά από κάτω γράφει και η τελευταία. Sorry παιδιά, πρέπει να το κάνουμε σωστά λίγο. Σημειώνω λίγο τις πινακίδες για να μην ξεχάσω. Μετά γράφει 361 ταφ ανάμεσα 582 από κάτω 70 παύλα εδώ ανάμεσα, τις έχασα. Λοιπόν, ωραία, τώρα έχουμε εδώ τις πινακίδες σημειωμένες. Λοιπόν, εδώ. Τώρα, για να δούμε πού θα τις βάλουμε, παιδιά. Τις βάζω έτσι όπως τις βλέπω εδώ με τη σειρά. Τις έχω. Να δούμε. Μήπως είναι και σειρά τους, δεν το τσες. Αυτό. Δεν είναι. Λοιπόν. Δεν είναι αυτή η σειρά τους, παιδιά. Οπότε... Δύο. Τέσσερα. Ούτε αυτή. πάει εδώ, όχι. Ας μήπως αυτή. Πάει εδώ. Εδώ. Πάει αυτή. Εδώ. Αυτή. Ούτε. Ας πως αυτό μπαίνει εδώ. Αυτό εδώ. Πρέπει να βλέπω καλά όλες τις πινακίδες που έχει εδώ. Τι άλλες έχουμε. Αυτό εδώ. Αυτό θα το βάλω εδώ. Αυτή θα πάει εδώ. Αυτή. Όχι, γάτο. Αυτή θα πάει εδώ. Αυτή θα πάει εδώ. Αυτή εδώ. Κάτω σ' όλες. Δώστε μου μισό λεπτό, παιδιά. πρώτη είναι 57-29 που τελειώνει, είναι αυτή εδώ. Και η τελευταία είναι η άλλη. Ναι. Η δεύτερη. Αυτή τη σειρά πάνε. Λοιπόν παιδιά, τώρα ξέρουμε τη σειρά περίπου ποια είναι. Αλλά εγώ μου ήρθε το έβρισκα έτσι στην τύχη. Τέλος πάνω. Η πρώτη είναι οι δύο, η 57-29. Η πρώτη είναι αυτή εδώ. 57-29. Ωραία. Η δεύτερη είναι η 3-20. Η 3-20. Ωραία. Η τρίτη είναι η 91-62. 91-62. Και η τελευταία είναι αυτή εδώ, η 5-82. Έτσι. Γιατί δεν μας τα λέει καλά. Για να δούμε γιατί φωτογραφίζουμε. Από αυτή. Και φεύγουν. Αυτά. Δεν τα χρειαζόμαστε. Μένει ένα ακόμη παιδιά. Πάμε να το κάνουμε. Το όνειρο αυτό με το χέρι κάπου. Πού αλλού έχουμε τώρα πάμε τώρα να κάνουμε. Πού ακούγεται αυτό. Πετάχτη κάτι. Τι σκοτεινιάζει έτσι. Να το κοιτάζω κάτω. Α! Μην με τρομάζεις έτσι. Τι ακούγεται. Δώστε μου μισό λεπτό. Μισό λεπτό. Μπορεί να χρειαστώ πάλι χαρτάκι. Εδώ. Έχουμε το κωδικό. Εδώ. Πού είναι αυτό, η αίθουσα λίγο με τις πινακίδες. Μας δέχει ένα κωδικό εδώ. Λοιπόν, είναι το μη, το ε, το α και το τ. Πάμε. Μάλλον πρέπει να είναι κωδικός αυτής της πότας, παιδιά. Ναι. Για να δούμε. Το πρώτο πρέπει να είναι το μη. Ωραία. το δεύτερο το ε. Και τα άλλα ήταν ήδη τα γράμματα. Τι έχετε προς το δω. Πάμε. Άλλο ένα μας μένει. Μάλιστα. Άλλο ένα.
Grandma's rocking chair.
Τι κόκκινες
The
έτσι.
remains of the mummified grandma, or even any mention of grandma, was not in the original script. Art director Bob Burns added her into the set to show that there were women in the family's history.
Να μην σκοτεινιάζει κάπου που δεν πρέπει. Τι σκοτεινιάζει εκεί.
The Hitchhiker's origins. According to actor Edwin Neal, he based his performance of the hitchhiker on his nephew, who suffered from paranoid schizophrenia.
Μισό λεπτό λίγο. Μισό λίγο παιδιά, μισό λεπτό γιατί... Κάτσε, εγώ δεν τα κάνω όλα, περίμενε. Μισό λεπτό λίγο παιδιά, γιατί κάτι δεν με τα λέει σωστά εδώ. Ποιο δεν έκανα. Αυτός ποιο έκανε πρώτο ας πούμε, κάτσε να δω. Α, να. Ναι. Το τζάκι δεν έκανα παιδιά, το τσέχασα το τζάκι. Εδώ.
Genuine bone furnishings.
Το είδα.
The bones used for props were real animal bones found at a veterinarian boneyard and a cattle pasture. Art director Robert Burns led the charge of designing most of the bone props, like furniture and light fixtures.
ήταν αυτό? Δεν θέλω παραπάνω. Τα κάναμε. Κωδικός. Τον βρήκαμε ρε. Τον έχω βρει και δεν το σημείωσα μου φαίνεται. Εντάξει. Μισό λεπτό. Ο κωδικός είναι πάνω, μισό λεπτό. Πας πάνω τώρα πάνω. Εδώ. Γιατί δεν τρέχει? Να ο κωδικός παιδιά. 1, 9, 3, 9. Και έτσι πας κάτω τώρα. Μη σκάβεις. Έλα. Ένα, 9, 3, 9. Ένα, δύο, τρία, τέσσερα πράγματα είναι να κάνουμε. Οπότε για να τα κάνουμε, για να τελειώνουμε.
Fake blood. The blood splatter effect on Leatherface's apron during the Franklin death scene required corn syrup, food coloring, and a lot of spitting. Makeup artist Dorothy Dottie Pearl, director Toby Hooper, and even boom operator Wayne Bell knelt by Franklin during the shooting. As Leatherface slashed, the three took mouthfuls of blood and spit it at him. For me, this was just a delight, said Bell. I care nothing about horror movies, but this was pretty playful. Skin. The practical effects of Leatherface's skin mask proved a difficult challenge for Bob Burns, the art director for the film. Mary Church, who had multiple responsibilities on the original film, including continuity and stunt coordination, noted that Bob spent weeks trying to come up with just homemade varieties of stuff that sort of looked like dried skin. I remember him being concerned about expression, or not being able to do expression, and that there probably needed to be other expressions maybe on the face. Mask, prop, or wardrobe for the role of Leatherface. When Gunnar Hansen had his first meet and greet for the role of Leatherface, Toby Hooper and Kem Henkel were impressed with his size and stature. When Gunnar walked through the doorway into their meeting, Hooper noticed how much space of the doorway Gunnar took up. They knew right away that Gunnar had the physical traits for the iconic role.
Iniziare.
Chainsaw. Gun Interactive digitally scanned an original chainsaw model that was used in the 1974 film, and then made the necessary adjustments to ensure it was as accurate as possible to what was seen on film nearly 50 years ago. Masks. The Leatherface masks would become iconic, but they were hard to see through. Gunnar Hansen explained. The masks had one unfortunate feature. Their eye holes were small. They fit snugly, but not around my eyes. And the further the eye holes were from my face, the less I could see. It was like looking down a long tube. I could see only what was directly in front of me. Leatherface speaks. In the original script, the infamous dinner scene was quite different. Leatherface had scripted, though completely unintelligible, lines. As Gunnar Hansen recalls, they were written out. His first line is, A-A-A-O-U-U-U-Ber, and then, A-Be-Go-Ba A-G-I-Ma. According to Toby Hooper, these lines had actual meaning behind them. Hansen's script notes pointed out that the first line meant roughly, how are you? Welcome home. Supper's almost ready. The next line meant, I've been a good boy. I got 'em all. Toby Hooper found novel ways to introduce drama into his picture. According to lead Marilyn Burns, Sally, Hooper would gossip around the set to create animosity between her and Paul Partain, who played Franklin. Toby would come up and tell me that Paul said something about me. Then Toby was going to Paul saying Marilyn said something about you, getting us really upset with each other. So we're doing this scene that didn't require any acting at all. I was ready to kill him. Leatherface mask. The holes and markings on the forehead of Leatherface's masks represent a hammer to the head. Back then, cows were slaughtered in the head with a sledgehammer, so the holes appear on the forehead of Leatherface's masks to show continuity with how actual cattle were slaughtered.
Α, θέλει κωδικό, θα το δούμε μετά το κωδικό. Σπέρα. Τι? Τέλος πάντων. Για να δούμε. Εδώ ήμασταν και πριν.
Behind the scenes photo, Bull. During research production for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, Gun Interactive's creative director Ronnie Hobbs, executive producer Ishmael Vicens, and brand strategy lead Matthew Zebb traveled to dozens of locations in rural Texas. Thousands of photos were taken to capture the essence and authenticity of the Texas countryside. During one of these trips, the team at Gun stumbled onto a farmhouse they thought was abandoned, but little did they know they would meet a new friend. A massive bull in a nearby gated field with horns that stretched 4 feet end to end. However, the gate itself was not closed, so the team from Gun found themselves face to face and only 5 feet on the other side of this open gate with this giant freak of nature. The Gun crew were initially terrified, but they carefully and meticulously walked around the fence while keeping their eyes on this massive creature. They were able to shut the gate, and any crisis was thankfully avoided. Real torture. During Sally's torture scene, her screams ultimately led her to shout, "I'll do anything you want," which Marilyn Burns later recollected was the dirtiest thing you could say. It was pretty damn serious. Nowadays it comes out of everybody's mouth. Now they're doing it for free, they're jumping into it. But in those days, "I'll do anything you want," you just didn't say that. You never said that. Burns continues, though, that Sally's torturers, the Slaughter family, don't comprehend that because it's not the result they desire. Rather, she feels that they're so sexually repressed that they can only manifest desire as sadistic cruelty. What makes them even more horrific is the sense that they gather excitement by watching women suffer.
Πού πάει και αυτός ο δρόμος εδώ. Εδώ δεν ήρθαμε.
in the UK. The film was banned in over 10 countries, including Great Britain and Germany. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre managed to have screenings in London, England in late 1974, but by February of 1975, the BBFC decided to ban the film, as they were uncomfortable about the threats toward the film's climax and the explicit use of abnormal psychology, and refused to even give the film an X rating. In 1982, the former Prime Minister of England, Margaret Thatcher, along with socially conservative activist Mary Whitehouse, formed the Video Nasties, which led to the banning of several horror films in the United Kingdom. Additionally, in the early years of Prime Cable, channels like HBO refused to air the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Many cable channels avoided the film at all costs.
Το θέλω κωδικό,
Playing with fire. Early on during filming, Gunnar Hansen asked Toby Hooper, "How are we going to shoot the scene where I get chainsawed in the leg?" Toby Hooper replied, "I don't know, but don't worry about it because it's the last shot of the movie." For the climactic ending of the film, the crew wrapped a metal sheet around Gunnar Hansen's leg with a stake taped to it, and a blood bag taped on top of that. Originally, he thought it was a crew member who would run the chainsaw cutting into Gunnar's leg. But Gunnar insisted he would do it himself for fear of the crew member accidentally sawing his leg. The saw didn't have its actual teeth attached to it, so they had to make modifications to the saw itself. At first, Gunnar thought he had sawed his leg, but his leg did become badly burned from sawing into the metal plate that was protecting it.
Νομίζω είδα μόνο το χώρο, παιδιά. Προς το παρόν. Καλά είναι να γυρίσουμε πίσω εκεί που ήμασταν. Ω. Τώρα το χώρο, περίμενα. Τίποτα.
Leatherface speaks. In the original script, the infamous dinner scene was quite different. Leatherface had scripted, though completely unintelligible, lines. As Gunnar Hansen recalls, they were written out. His first line is "A-A-A-O-U-U-U-Ber," and then...
Αυτό νομίζω το διάβασα αυτό. Μας λείπουν τα χέρια. Πού δεν έψαξα τότε.
Toby Hooper found novel ways to
Αυτά από εδώ νομίζω τα έχω διαβάσει όλα, ναι. Άσε με αποχωρήσω. Έτσι πάω. Και πού δεν πήγα όμως τώρα. Για να πάω. Ας πούμε. Εδώ δεν πήγα. Σίγουρα. Ή πήγα. Άσε με να μπω. Λοιπόν, καλύτερα λίγο να το δούμε. Γιατί παιδιά δεν μπορώ. Λίγο μένει να το τελειώσουμε τώρα. Πάμε για το πρώτο. Πού είναι το που άφησε αυτά? Έχει εδώ. Ας θέλω να γυρίσω πίσω, πώς γυρνάμε πίσω τώρα. Το κινητό τώρα. Το κάνω το μέσα. Πού είναι τώρα εκεί που έβαλα αυτά τα πράγματα που να πάρει? Έλεος δηλαδή. Επιτέλους δηλαδή. Το κεφάλι βάλουμε λάθος. Έλε αυτό το κεφάλι. Και το πόδι είναι λάθος. Αυτό το πόδι νομίζω ήταν λάθος. Πάτο, ρε που... Αν είναι αυτό σωστό. Πάει επιτέλους το ένα. Άντε μου. Για να δούμε, ναι. Δεύτερο. Τι δεν μπορώ. 2. Βρήκαμε το κωδικό. Έτσι τι κάνει. Ωραία. Το γράφει έτσι. Αυτό είναι εδώ μέσα, παιδιά. Εδώ μέσα τα μισό τα μπήκα. Ναι, επειδή εδώ μπήκα πως ήθελε κωδικό. Και το κωδικό το ξέρουμε. Τώρα είναι 4 3 2 8. Στο κάνω το. Πάει το δεύτερο. Πάει το επόμενο. Πάμε. Το επόμενο είναι γιατί δεν τα ξέρω και δεν αυτό, εντάξει, την τύχη να το βρεις, εντάξει, απλώς. Ένα ρολόι, πάμε. Αυτά τα παλιά τα ρολόγια πώς τα λένε. Να το. Έτσι. Άλλο ένα και τελειώσαμε. Άιντε. Κάνουμε εδώ πέρα. Να μπεδεύουμε. Και το ολοκληρώσαμε. Και αυτό που είναι, πάμε. Και εγώ δεν τα... Πώς θα θυμηθώ που πήγε αυτός, παιδιά. Θα πάρει. Να, εδώ είμαστε. Τέλος. Λοιπόν, πάμε να δούμε και το τελευταίο που είναι να κάνουμε. Το τελευταίο, που πάμε εκεί πέρα και μετά Υπάρχει και πότα με κωδικό, γι' αυτό το λέω. Μια πότα έχει κωδικό πάλι. Τέσσερα. Κωδικός πόρτας. 1. 3. 2. Παιδιά, δώστε μου μισό λεπτό, επιστρέφω για να κλείσουμε. Μισό λεπτό. Μισό να βάλω, ναι. Επιστρέφω σε δύο που το έχω βάλει. Άγιε δεν είναι εδώ, κάμερα 2. Όχι, κάμερα 3. Λοιπόν, έτοιμος, πάμε, παιδιά. Το τελειώνουμε. Πάω Να δούμε πού είναι αυτό που βάζεις αυτά από το σπάντα. Αν έτρεχε για λίγο, καλά θα ήταν. Ποιος είναι, τι ακούστηκε? Πάμε να βγούμε τίποτα, τίποτα. Ρημίστε όλοι. Σας παρακαλώ. Μην γίνει τίποτα τώρα, θέλω να φύγω από εδώ μέσα επιτέλους. Πού είναι αυτό? Από εδώ. Από εδώ είναι, παιδιά, δεν μπορεί. Θα τη βρω. Βλέπω την έτσι εδώ νομίζω. Ναι. Έλα εδώ. Να δω κάτι από εδώ, παιδιά. Αν είναι εδώ τα τυπάνια.
How the music is made. Numerous instruments used by Wayne Bell to create the music were children's musical toys. According to Bell, many of the instruments used to create the music of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre were cymbals, xylophones, and shakers. Being that Bell is a drummer, a substantial number of cymbals were used. The audio team also used Bell's K stand-up 5-string bass with a movable bridge which allowed them to change how high the strings are. This brought out the strong sounds of the bass. Additionally, the sound team used a bow, plucking and rubbing various items on it.
Ωραία. Πού ήταν η πόρτα? Δεν ήταν από εδώ. Μισό λεπτό, παιδιά. Έλα. Ναι, τώρα τελειώνω. Τώρα το κλείνω, ναι. Τι το κάνω. Λοιπόν, παιδιά, λίγο γιατί έχω αργήσει κι εγώ, έχω και μερικές δουλειές μετά τώρα να κάνω. Πού είναι η έξοδος? Την είχα βρει. Από εδώ. Έλα, τέχα. Δεν είναι από εδώ. Πού είναι το πιάνο? Ωραία, το πιάνο. Το πιάνο είναι εδώ. Από εδώ την πήγαμε, την έξοδο νομίζω. Γιατί δεν την πήγα τότε που τη βρήκα θέμα αυτή την έξοδο? Έλεος! Εδώ είναι. Στο κάτω μέσα. Δεν είναι αυτή η έξοδος. Άντε τώρα! Έλεος με αυτό το καθυστερημένο! Πού είμαστε? Ωραία, είμαστε εδώ. Θα το βρούμε, παιδιά. Από εδώ πώς είναι. Ναι. Εδώ είναι τα τυπάνια, ναι, αυτή είναι η έξοδος. Μάλλον. Έχουμε το 4. Το 1. Το 3. Και το 2. Πού φωνάζει? Όχι από εδώ πάντως.
Thank God. Listen to me. My name is Maria. Maria Flores. Please, find a way to get me out of here. I'm begging you. Please.
Whoa! Αυτό παρά ήταν λίγο, Κάτσε. Δεν μας το δείχνει αυτός, όμως. Λοιπόν, παιδιά, θα το αφήσουμε και ίσως το ξαναδούμε πάλι μια φορά αυτό. Ή σε βίντεο ή σε άλλη φορά, πάντως. Πιστεύω να μην είναι από εδώ, απλώς. Οπότε πάμε λίγο μενού, να κλείσουμε. Λοιπόν, αυτό παιδιά ήταν το live. Βάλτε ένα like αν σας άρεσε το live. Πατήστε το κομπανάκι, μην χάνετε κανένα βίντεο και κανένα live που κάνω. Κάντε και μια εγγραφή και στο κανάλι μου. Τα υπόλοιπα κανάλια, παιδιά, θα τα βρείτε στην περιγραφή του βίντεο από κάτω, όπως θα βρείτε και τα social media. Αυτό παιδιά. Επόμενο live θα είναι αύριο 7 η ώρα το απόγευμα μάλλον. Ναι, που θα δούμε το event που έχει στο Fortnite. Αύριο έχει event, οπότε αυτό παιδιά. Αύριο στις 7 ξανά live, οπότε να έχετε ένα καλό απόγευμα και ένα καλό βράδυ και θα τα πούμε στο αυριανό live. Γεια σας παιδιά.